Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 11 of Geek Tech. I have made two more storage drives because this core here actually does produce a lot of items. And they cause these drives to fill up pretty darn quick. So I have four storage drives total for 256,000 items now, and it's mostly full. I even have the drive or the quarry turned off because making more drives to keep up with it is not sustainable. Looking at the items, most of it is like coal and some of the processed ingots. So if I can set up some type of external, non-disk drive system to store these extremely high volume items, I think that'll be okay. In fact, I think I even put in the recipe for these. Oh, I even made 10 of them. I'll probably store them in these bins. They hold 262,000 items each, and I don't know what I'll do once I go over 262,000. Maybe I'll just throw them in a trash can or something, because do I really need more than 262,000 coal? Probably not. Well, in any event, let me show you a problem I ran into while auto-crafting these drives. So, one item that is used a lot in those is silicon. In fact, let's get rid of all of this silicon. And when you craft, here, let me just start by showing you the crafting recipe, I guess. It's crafted in the dissolution chamber with silicon wafers and lava. Seems simple enough, right? If I order 10 of these, so it's 10 of the blue power silicon plus a bucket of lava, that gets deployed to, let's get rid of this hopper, I needed that to fix the problem, to here. And you see, it, wait a second, this isn't the behavior it was before. Before, it would happily put in all the lava and all the silicon, and one piece of silicon, and then get stuck after it put in 8 buckets of lava. Nothing has changed in this. I'm going crazy. Okay, so the problem I ran into before was because if I order a 64K drive on its own, just like this, well, I guess I have some silicon in here now and some other stuff, but basically what happens was because I ordered a large craft at once, let's just try it. It would fill this up all the way with lava and then get stuck because it's like, hey, I have no more room to put lava. Jimmy, what do I do? Help me. But now that I've restarted my game, apparently I fixed the problem. Alright, well now I'm crazy and the auto-crafting works exactly the way it's supposed to. That's awkward. Well, now that I've raved like a madman about a system that was supposedly broken but is working perfectly fine in front of my own eyes, let's go do something else and pretend I didn't do that. So, the reactor components are now done. I'll set up the bins to store items later because that's probably a pretty simple task and pretty boring. And the reactor is far more fun, right? So, ooh, pretty colors. I don't know what that's telling me. I mean, I guess let's start by building this somewhere and seeing what it does. We'll put it right here. Alright, I went and slept through the night. What? Yes, I guess we can start there. Wait. Oh, that's really cool. It builds itself. Ha, I love that. And haha, alright, when it's done, it forms into a thing. Alright, there's a lot of UI elements here. Let's start by reading the book so I know what we have to give it. So I know it takes the uraninite as fuel. It also needs liquid coolant. I think that's a bare minimum, right? Uraninite and liquid coolant. If you want to go above and beyond, you can give it solid coolant to, well, cool it even further. And coal and redstone to give it even more oomph. I believe that makes it. Let's see, carbon materials like coal will improve fuel efficiency and add heat. Heat is a bad thing, if I recall. Redstone will speed up the production and the fuel consumption and add heat as well. Right? You need to cool it down using coolant like water. So yeah, heat bad, coolant good. I did some testing and it looks like energy cables will only connect to the ports on the sides here, so they don't connect to the actual sides. Whereas both item and fluid cables will connect anywhere on the, any exposed face. So, I don't know, just good knowledge to know, I guess. Anyways, let's get some uraninite now. Uranin. Ooh, I don't have much of it. Let's get a. No, I guess uraninite. It's trying to make it from how do I make this? Smelt poor into 1, rich into, oh, I see, or regular into 2. All right. For now, I'll just manually run this through our furnaces, I guess. Here, go. But it doesn't look like we're mining this, so we'll have to investigate that later. I suspect the ore it comes from, this uraninite ore, just doesn't have the appropriate tags. So we'll have to manually add that to the list of ores we mine, kind of like we did with, what was that other ore yesterday? Dimensional shard ore? Anyways, URA. There we go. We can process raw uraninite into just uraninite. So that goes there, fuels it, and then I need a water pump to pump some water. Wait, it looks like even before I actually pump water, it is generating energy. 23k a tick. So this is the spirited here. Spirited is, it says 3.8k. So I guess it's not 3.8k per block, but it does generate significantly more than that number. Anyways, it looks like it's consuming, what was that, 0.77 millibuckets a tick, but the temperature is high, 700 Celsius. So I think this is the maximum fuel consumption. Let's see what happens once I get some water pumped into it to reduce it. So my plan is I'll just have the reactor power its own water pump, right? Because when has that reactor design ever caused nuclear incidents? But seriously, because the reactor is capable of generating power without water, the only thing that, like, it'll be able to start up its own pump should, the system have to cold start for some reason. So I actually think that this is a, perfectly fine design. So that brings temperature down. As temperature goes down, power goes up, right? That was 23k, now it's 27k. Let's sleep through the night and take another look at it in the morning. With water in here, it says at a temperature of 1 Celsius, our reactor seems to run stable at 350 degrees. The fuel usage is just more than half, right? It was 0.77, now it's 0.38. That's just less than half. It's probably exactly half, honestly, once you account for rounding. And it produces 29k a tick. So that's, a lot. It looks like it stops producing energy and stops consuming fuel when the energy buffer is full, though. So it automatically shuts itself down when the energy is full. That's mostly a good thing. Let's try what happens if we add coal and, what was the other one? Coal and redstone, right? So coal goes in this slot. It makes it run hotter, as the book mentioned, which makes its fuel consumption go up. Looks like it's plus efficiency. So I guess with coal, you probably get more power per unit fuel, or sorry, more energy per unit fuel, in the form of more power output. I'm not quite sure, because the fuel, it seemed, the book seemed to imply that fuel use would go down, right? Let's see here. Carbon materials will improve fuel efficiency, but I guess the fact that it adds heat kind of cancels that out. Let's see what happens if we add redstone as well. So right now we're at 33,000.4851. That goes up to 39,000.7717. Let's see what happens if we actually produce energy. I think there's a trash can I can use, right? An energy trash can? Yeah. We'll use this just to void. Actually, we can even probably put it directly against the reactor, so it actually voids all the energy in the reactor. I kept looking for the front of the reactor, walking around. I was like, where's the front? Where's the front? Wait a second, it doesn't have a front. All right. So 40,000 a tick. I'm pretty sure the redstone makes things worse. 39,000 a tick at 0.7717. Let's wait for this bar to empty out. 2, 1. 0. 34,000. So you lose like 10, 20% of your power. Wait, it's going down even further. About 20. Oh, it's inconsistent too. I don't know, 20-ish percent. But like your fuel consumption goes down by way more than 20%. So I think redstone's not worth it, right? I feel like it's almost the same for carbon too. Let's see what happens once this bar runs down. All right, it's nearing the end. So it's 33,000.4851. And once the carbon's gone, 28,000 and this temperature is still stabilizing. I think the fact that it adds temperature hurts your fuel consumption rate to the point where it's not worth it unless you need the power output. Which right now, 28,000 I think is enough for us. So I guess we'll just run it without redstone and coal. Now it does take solid fuel as well, so let's get some. I probably don't have any. Snow, ice. Let's go get some ice. I'll probably just mine it with the digital miner and try that out. The plan is to use the digital miner with the ice tag, so it seems like it hits ice, packed ice, and blue ice. We'll give it power and start. 100 some pieces. Oh, I guess I can see them, huh? Well, it doesn't need to be it does need to be on silk touch mode to get ice, right? Ice is craftable, so if we need more, we can use this to craft ice. It looks like the better types of ice are also better coolants, so they're a lower temperature and have a greater amount. What that means, Now let's compare the statistics with and without ice. So without ice, just for reference, oh, I see. The actual amount of energy produced is dependent on how full the bar is. And as the bar depletes, it drops. The fuel bar. But you can only, a piece of fuel contains a fixed amount of fuel. Like an item of fuel contains a fixed amount of this millibuckets of fuel. Is it 100 or 144? And it'll only be consumed to refill the bar when that happens. Alright, so anyways, when the bar is full, it's about 31,000, and the fuel consumption is constant. If I put some ice in here, the temperature falls. That's not terribly surprising. The fuel consumption, I should have looked at what it was before, but the fuel consumption appears to have fallen dramatically. Yeah. Right, it was like 0.4-ish, 0.38, something like that. And the energy has actually gone up. So this is good in every way. Fuel consumption goes down, energy production goes up. Sign me up. All right, we're going to try. So that's with ice. Let's let that, this bar run out, and then we'll try it again with packed ice, because I can craft that. In fact, I think we have enough ice to make a piece of blue ice. Blue ice is basically double compressed ice. Let's see, 9 packed ice makes 1 blue ice. Ooh. So how much ice here was 48 amount, -5 temperature. Looks like 48 amount lasts a long time. Blue ice here is way more amount and way more temperature. And again, if it turns out to be good, we'll just set up a system to auto-craft it from water. Alright, our ice has been drained, so it's heating back up now, right? Yeah. I think it's fine to put the blue ice back in now, see how low the temperature goes, and how low our fuel consumption goes. Honestly, since we're going to be getting the fuel from a quarry, it's... Wow. Okay, so anyways, we're going to be getting the fuel from a quarry. We'll have plenty of fuel, but our fuel consumption is super low now. This is 5%, I believe, of what it was without the blue ice. So by using blue ice, you can reduce fuel consumption to 5%. Out of curiosity, is there something better than blue ice for solid coolants? Solid. Okay, so liquid coolants, it's only water. What is this? Dry ice. It's even colder and even more amount. How do I make this? You energize 2 pieces of blue ice together. Okay, I mean, maybe that's worth it. Interesting. Does it use a lot of power? Honestly, it's probably not worth it. This is a bunch of extra craft. Well, it's 1 extra crafting step. And our fuel consumption at this point is close enough to 0 that it doesn't really matter. So I guess now that we have the temperature reduced so far, though, maybe it's worth it again to add the redstone and coal back in. Let's see. That actually, yeah, this only has a small increase in temperature, which, while it like doubles our fuel usage from without having it, it also significantly increases our power. Okay, so the reactor is at its best when you supply it with a very good solid coolant and both solid inputs. I think our experimentation is complete. Well, on the topic of experimentation, I've done a bit more experimenting with these cables to figure out their exact behavior. If you remember yesterday, we observed that they transport way more than the 5.12k FE a tick that gets displayed here. Oopsies, did I throw my pickaxe? Pickaxe, come back to me. Did you steal it? Hold on, we gotta get my pickaxe back. I can't not have a pickaxe. Oh wait, no, I just unequipped it. Derp. I turned the cobble gen off, by the way, because our things are full and it's really loud and laggy. Anyways, I've discovered that the limitation is not that it's it's not a per connection limitation, kind of like Ender IO cables are. It is a per pair of endpoints limitation. What that means is that each pair of endpoints, so an endpoint is, or a pair of endpoints is a set, right? This here and say this connection here form a pair of endpoints. Each pair of endpoints can transfer 5.12k RF a tick. That's why we can observe that, because this machine runs, can I, hold on, if I don't run it, how do I tell it to turn off? Well, basically this machine, while it's running at full power, consumes more than 5.12k RF a tick, which is why it's only receiving 5.12k RF a tick. Right? The pair of endpoints between it and the energy cube is limited to 5.12. However, every other machine has its own set of endpoints, right? The fact that this machine has a 5.12 and 5.12k connection to the battery doesn't affect the fact that this machine also has a 5.12k connection from its wire to the battery. The cable itself, I believe, is also limited to a total throughput of 686k FE a tick, but I think you have to you have to do a lot to reach that. And the other limitation at work here is the energy cube has the output limit of 20.48k FE a tick. That's the limit we're hitting globally right now, which is why our cable is drained. But yeah, as I was saying, this machine here, we can see that its energy buffer is slowly draining because it probably can, with all the slots running, right? It's 800 FE a tick per slot. So with 9 slots, its maximum energy consumption is greater than what the cable is capable of supplying it. So because this is a 5.12k per pair of endpoints connection, this one cable, despite saying it only transports 5.12k RF a tick, in practice can do a whole lot more, which I guess is fine. That sounds like it's by design and not a bug, so I am not a filthy cheater who is abusing a bug. Here's a little interesting thing. I've hooked our reactor up to power a solidifier to make ice, and the solidifier itself is only drawing, does it even tell me how much energy it draws? It draws a non-zero, but not terribly high amount of energy, right? It looks like it's 50-ish an update, but I think I get less than or more than 1 tick per screen update. I don't know, somewhere less than 50 RF a tick. However, the reactor appears to be consuming fuel as if it's running at full blast. That is, the reactor has 2 states, off or on. If we want to fix that, maybe there's something we can do with redstone control. So let's see, does a comparator measure how full the reactor is? Not if you put it there. What if I put it against a power port? It does not, by the looks of things. So if we want to measure the reactor fullness, we have to we can't directly measure the fullness of this internal buffer. We probably have to use an energy cube of some sort and measure the fullness of that. Because right now, we're basically telling the reactor to run at full blast and extracting 50 RF a tick out of it. That's kind of wasteful. Initially, I was going to use the ultimate energy cube for as a energy buffer, because I believe you can measure the fullness of these. I haven't actually tried that. Yeah, that does work. However, it only accepts 20,000 KFE a tick. So that's probably not going to work because the reactor produces, you know, it can produce way more than that. Wait a second. It filled up way faster than 20 KFE a tick. Because if the reactor is only producing 20 KFE a tick, it never drains its energy buffer, right? It produces more energy than it drains. I feel like I'm being lied to again. Let's try something. Let's do a bit more science. Today will be the science episode. First test is output rate. So if it outputs at its max output of 20 KFE a tick, it has no max input. That's probably what it is. If it outputs at 20 KFE a tick, it should be able to drain itself into the energy can in just over 2 minutes. That is definitely the rate that it is draining at. So I'm going to leave it here to drain itself completely, and then we'll see how quickly it can input when I plug it in. It definitely input in like 2 seconds, not 2 minutes. So I guess it doesn't have a max input rate, just has a max output rate. I didn't know that about this. I was thinking maybe we'll switch over to the Powah batteries. In fact, let's take a look at them anyways. They have not ender cells. I think these are wireless batteries, but they're just straight up capacitors in here somewhere. Found it. These are these energy cells. However, looking at the crafting recipe, so the first two are fine. You can craft them directly. Anything above that, you have to join 2 of the previous tier. And that this is basically exponential growth, right? To make a tier X or to make a tier N energy cell, you need to make 2 to the power of N tier 1 energy cells. And that's kind of the same story with the solar panels, so I'm not even going to bother touching that. That is way more work than it's worth just for a little bit of energy storage. Unless there's a recipe for the creative one, then maybe you have my attention. Anyways, it's been almost 2 minutes. The energy cell's almost drained. The energy cube is now drained. So let's, just out of curiosity, time how fast it takes to fill it. I suspect it'll fill at this max extract rate of 400 KFE a tick. So if I place this here, yeah, right. If it filled at 20K, in fact, I can check. Nope. Apparently, it doesn't tell me. It says its input is 0, but yeah, it dumped all 50 million FE into here in, what was that, like 5-ish seconds. Okay, well, I guess we can use an energy cube then, and but the energy cube still only has a 20K FE a tick output limit. I know, idea, inspiration. We'll use 3 of them. We put 1 on, each of these output ports. Are there? Oh, there's even ports on top. I suspect there's 1 on bottom as well then. But because each of these energy cubes then will be capable of 20K FE a tick, then we'll be in business. Using a bunch of energy cubes actually does introduce a couple other problems. So my initial idea was just to measure the fullness of our 1 energy cube, right? If it's above a threshold, emit the redstone signal to turn off the reactor, kind of like this. However, with multiple energy cubes, you're probably interested in the fullness of the emptiest energy cube. Oh, by the way, I decided it's easier just to use ultimate cables because these transfer a lot of energy a tick and only use 1 port because the port's capable of outputting, 400K or whatever. That way all my energy cubes are right next to each other. So by only measuring 1 of them, right, if this energy cube is full but the rest are empty, we're liable to turn off the reactor, which I guess, that's not like the end of the world. We still have 1 energy cube available. And all demand will hit it, right? And as soon as demand hits it, it'll cause it to drain, which will turn the reactor on. So I guess it's not a problem. I was thinking the good solution is to try to measure the minimum of the energy cubes, but I racked my head around it and I couldn't figure out how to make a redstone minimum signal selector. I'm sure it's possible, and I'm sure there's people that know redstone better than me that could do it in a heartbeat, but I couldn't do it. So we're just going to do this because I think it's a good enough approximation of the correct behavior. Anyways, now we just have to make the ice. So making ice in a single solidifier is painfully slow. In fact, without speed upgrades, it's like, all right, we'll get there eventually. It's kind of like the alloy smelter, except maybe slower. With speed upgrades, it's still pretty slow. So I'm just going to make 4 solidifiers. Haha. And these will produce the ice for cooling, because we've basically used up all of our ice. Now that this is set up, our 4 solidifiers produce ice reasonably slowly, but it all gets sent to a RF Tools crafter that crafts it into packed ice, and then keeps the packed ice in its internal inventory. Let's hit the remember slot, so there's always a slot saved for packed ice, and then turns 9 of that into blue ice when it's time, and that automatically makes blue ice to fuel our reactor. So, can I? No, I can't turn my hover mode off right now. Right, hold on, hover mode off. Oops, sorry about that. Forgot how loud that was for all parties involved. Anyways, now just to supply the reactor with coal and redstone, so I already set up an interface here to carry the items, and I just need to transport them into the reactor. Aha! And that should do it. Now our reactor is automatically supplied. Oh, and uraninite. Actually, I have to do something slightly different for that because there's 3 different types of ores to process, right? Let's start by adding uraninite to our miner here to mine it. So first I need a sample of uraninite. Let me get our digital miner to dig that up for us. So there's probably no uraninite tag, so we don't need that. I want mod ID from Powah. Is that what the mod's called? POWAH. Check. And I also want to change this such that the max Y level is like 50. I don't want it to, go mining up our reactor for us. All right. Silk touch on because I want the ores. And start. Stop. All right, what did I do wrong? I didn't hit the save button when I was adding the filter, apparently. Try that again. Start. There we go. All right, so this is pour ore. You probably want power too, huh? I'm gonna get, this is the pour ore. I want to get some of the rich, there's dense. And give me the normal variant too while you're at it, could you? Uraninite ore, perfect. All right, you can stop now. So let's take these, add them to our quarry here. Now, because this mines them with fortune, let's see, click to add. Yeah, if I shift click, it doesn't add anything, so they have no tags. Anyways, because this mines them with fortune, then I won't end up getting 3 types of ores. I'll end up just getting, however many pieces you get from breaking them with fortune. The raw ores are provided via a interface. I only had 14 dense ore to put here, so that's all it gets at the time. But raw ores get sent to the smelting factory where they get smelted into uraninite and supplied to the reactor. So with the actual rate that the reactor consumes fuel at, like just the uraninite in here is probably multiple days worth of fuel buffer. So this is definitely a case of we could run the reactor without any of these inputs and it would be like 600% okay. But it's good to understand how mechanics work, right? So this is optimized in the interest of learning, not so much in the interest of needing it. Cool. With that out of the way, let's fix our storage problem really quick. In fact, right now I think, oh, this is on. Let's turn that back off. The drive we made today finished, which is good, because if we didn't make that drive, we'd have almost no storage left. But let's grab those bins. There's 10. Oh, apparently they don't stack. All right, in fact, let me get these 10. And in fact, I'll make another, oops, that's advanced bin. Let's make another 20 of them to store high volume items. Our coal, iron, basically anything we have more than, I don't know, maybe we'll draw the line. We don't need to store ores in there because ores should automatically get processed. In fact, why is silver ore not being processed? Let's see, maybe I just forgot to add it to the filter. That's probably what it was. Yeah, it looks like there's no silver ore here or here, which is why it's not being processed. So we probably don't need to add ores to bins because we won't have that many ores, but all of these ingots will store in bins, you know, these various dusts, yada yada yada. Here's 16 bins holding 16 of our most numerous items that aren't already in bins, right? Like the stuff in there doesn't count. I only put a stack of it in just so I could, you know, basically use it as a filter, and then we can set this to. I was hoping that we could like partition the external storage, like you could. Oh, that's not good. Like you could a RF tool storage bus, or not RF, applied heuristic storage bus, but I guess you can't do that. Basically, the idea is that because bins aren't lockable, if the last item does get taken out of a bin, the wrong item is liable to be put in here if you don't partition these. And oh, I want mode whitelist as well. But partitioning these is kind of difficult because you need an actual example of the item to do so. You can't just hit the, you know, partition from what's currently in it, unless I'm missing a button. I'll probably just count on the fact that most of these items will never be exhausted. So, oopsies, that's also the wrong way to point the external storage. So anyways, I'll put an external storage on each of these bins. Every bin now has a priority, or has a storage bus on it, and I set the priority of each storage bus to be higher, so any new items should go into the bins and not into the drives, at least until the bins fill up. So with our ore processing running now, you know, whatever ores get made should end up in here. In fact, let's take a look. I saw that there was iron, but I'm somewhat curious. This is the iron bin, right? Why is iron not going into this bin? Did I not set the priority? Yes. It's somewhat unfortunate that when priorities tie, refined storage seems to prefer to put items into digital storage over in like external storage. That's opposite of what applied energistics does. It prefers to put items in external storage over digital storage. Perhaps instead of increasing the priority on everything, it would have been easier to decrease the priority on the digital storage. But now any items that get crafted or that get processed or dug up that match these bins, they should all go in here now instead of into digital storage. But we still have hundreds of thousands of items in digital storage that have to be used somehow. Oh, first let's actually plug in our energy cubes. Whoops. I have an awfully hard time telling these cables apart at a glance. I don't know, they all look very similar. Unlike when using RF tools, or not RF tools, or EnderIO, right? All their cables are very different looking. Even though they have the same profile, they have distinctly different coloring. That makes it very easy to tell at a glance what cable switch. I wish Mechanism was a bit more like that. Like, yeah, you can technically tell the difference at a glance, but can you know, which one's a mechanical pipe, which one's a logistical transporter? Good luck. To get the items off the digital storage disks, we need a disk manipulator. So if I craft one of these, it should only take a second. Come on now. A disk manipulator and place advancement. Place it here. You put disks in, and then well, not that one. That one's empty already. It just takes all the items in the disk and puts them back in the network. So it needs upgrades, otherwise it is painfully slow, apparently. Looks like it runs fastest with a 1 stack upgrade and 3 speed upgrades. It does accept any number of stack upgrades, but if we just compare this speed, right, that's like a stack of items. I mean, you know, 64-ish items per operation. So I don't think the stack upgrades actually stack. It accepts them anyways. But if you do stack and speed upgrades, it's like 200-300 items per update. Anyways, that'll take the items in this disk and send them back into the network. They'll either go into the storage disks or into the drawers, the bins over there, if they're allowed to. And because the bins are on higher priority, they'll preferentially go into the bins. So this looks like it'll take a fair bit of time. I wish this was faster. That's a common trend here, huh? Well, while this runs, why don't we wrap up this episode here? I'll clear out our disks between episodes, and we'll come back next time. And I think we're now at the point where we're ready to tackle the beginning of the end game. Now that we have resources, energy, and auto crafting, I think we're ready to start working on the beginning of the end. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.